And you are now tuned into another episode of Intellectually Petty Radio, brought to you by M3S3 Clothing. Men make moves and suckers stand still. You already know, man. This is Goons to Gods. We welcome everyone. I only have one rule, and that's be respectful. Today we have another legend in the building. A plus of the mighty souls of mischief. How you doing, bro? How's your family?
Oh man, everybody's everybody's good. Yeah, I can't report any disasters or nothing. I'm happy that everybody's good. Everybody's alive and healthy and well. How about yours?
Man, doing good, doing good. Just had another grandbaby. What is this? February last month. Who just walked
Oh,
in the door, so they'll be here for the weekend. That's pretty
bless your
dope,
life. Bless your life.
man.
Congratulations.
Man, well, you can see the gray, man. I'm old, bro.
Hey man, you and me both. I'll be plucking, bro. I'll be on the early morning plug mission. It's a cool 15-20 minutes.
Yo, I remember I tried to do I tried to dye my shit. Man, my daughters clown me so bad.
They like pops. Do it gracefully, please.
Right, like that shit look like paint, bro. Take that off.
Looking like Fat Joe.
Oh my God, yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
Word up, word up.
Yo, man, hip hop, man. You guys embed just you are hip hop.
Oh,
Like,
thank you.
and you got one of the. I mean, I know you've heard this a million times, but '93 Till Infinity is top five songs all time. Gotta be.
Thank you. Man, I first of all, thank you. Secondly, I never get tired of hearing anything like that, so I appreciate it. It's surreal, and I'm thankful. I have a lot of gratitude, and you know, God is good.
Did you know in the beginning, like when you first made it? Did you know? Yeah, we got one.
Yeah, well, we knew that we had a dope song because the thing about it is going into that album, making that album, there were like three other songs that we recorded that the label was really hype about being singles and everything,
Hmm.
and all three of those songs got denied for sample clearance reasons,
Hmm.
and the label was pretty bummed about that. But they knew we were dope, but they were like, "Oh man, these are the reasons we signed these kids," and so we were still making the album. And then we made 93 Till. We was like, "Oh man, this is a good one. We sound like we got one here." In the studio when we were done with it, we were like, "Oh, this is dope," and then the label, like when they heard it, they're like, "Okay, now we're not so worried that the other three songs, which were all songs I produced as well, Cab Fare, Step to My Girl, and Batting Practice, the original version of Batting Practice, were
Hmm.
all songs that the label was looking at that heard from our demo and was looking at as releasing as singles. So 93 Till kind of filled that gap. And so when we were done with it, we were like, yeah, man, this sounds good. Of course, we didn't have any real scope on how
Yeah.
well it would do, or that it would be like how it is now, but we had a feeling that we had a good song. We were confident that it was a dope song. We weren't like, oh, we got a hit, no shit like that. But we were like, oh, this is dope, man. People gonna like this. We
So
was
how old
18.
were
Yeah,
you when you
seven
got
seven.
signed?
When we got signed, I think we were 17. Yeah. So no, actually, we were 17 when we started the negotiations.
Hmm.
By the time the contract was done and thoroughly negotiated, um, three of the fellas were 18 and Tajay was still 17.
Okay, so at 17 years old, who the hell? How do you know to negotiate a contract? Like most people sign a shitty deal and then be pissed for the rest of their life.
Oh well, that credit goes to our lawyer, Michael Ashburn, who was Opio's stepfather at the time, was also Dell's lawyer at the time,
Okay.
and there which was he was Ice Cube's lawyer and all kinds of stuff, and that was just like coincidental shit. God is crazy, but yeah, Michael Ashburn, he had already been an entertainment lawyer. He managed Richard Pryor and Taj Mahal back in the day, and so he was in the music business, and he ensured that we didn't sign a shitty contract.
Okay. So you still getting lovely ass checks. I know it.
I mean, well,
Not to be in your
not yeah.
business.
Well, yes, we still getting lovely checks, but signing a solid contract, you can only there's only so much wiggle room because the contracts, a good contract still ain't great. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? It's just that we didn't get screwed. You know what I'm saying? Like we were still getting like, like little slave labor rate that you get. That I mean, our rate was pretty good, but it's still just a small rate because of how the
Mhm.
business works. But
You think you would have
that
made more
said,
money nowadays?
no, the deals are way worse now. The
Okay.
deals are way worse now, and we retain 100% of our publishing. We're the only artist on Jive Records ever in its history that to use to retain all of our publishing, and that was a part of the negotiation with Michael Ashburn. It was like it was the reason we signed with them and not somebody else, because they were, these other labels were matching everything except and then the publishing became the breaking point, and Jive just folded on that with one time with us, only time they ever did.
Wow. So did other artists reach out to y'all and say, "Hey, I got questions about some shit. Can you hook me up?"
Not in a sense. I remember Q-Tip was talking to our lawyer. Was like, "Oh, you're the lawyer that got Souls and Publishing. How you do that?" Um, and Michael is he's a sought after lawyer. So
Mhm.
people knew he was good, and he gets a lot of dap for that. He also was he wrote the first book on the first I don't know what you call it, a book or essay or something on sampling when it wasn't, when the laws weren't clear yet. He wrote a book
Mhm.
on it. So he's like kind of known in the industry, and he took care of us.
That's what's up. Shout out to him, man. Um,
Shout out.
the first beat you made,
Hmm.
trash or dope?
It was dope for what it was. It was it was on a Dr. Rhythm, just programmed drum pattern on the Dr. Rhythm. It was dope for what everybody else was doing because I was hanging out with the big boys. I was like the younger dude, and
Mhm.
it was Dell, his rhyming partner, D Shane,
Mhm.
and his DJ, I believe his name was TMX. His DJ's name was TMX, if I remember correctly. And I was Dell's little homie. Me and Dell was best friends, and but I was 2 years younger than him. So whenever I was hanging around him and his buddies, I was always the young dude. And basically, when they weren't messing with the shit, I would steal my time on it. And
Mhm.
my first little time, they was doing whatever they was doing, like eating lunch, smoking weed. I don't know what they was doing. And I was like, can I fuck? I don't know. I was a kid, so when they would go off and do shit, I was like, yeah, let me mess with the Dr. Rhythm, and I programmed a drum rhythm on there, and it was dope. I mean, for what it was.
So I've never heard any beef. I've never heard any drama. You guys are still a group, technically, right?
Technically, technically.
How do you accomplish all these years? And I mean, I don't. Maybe y'all not touring. I'm not sure. Y'all still touring?
Yeah, I mean, the last tour HIERO did was right, like the January, right? January right before COVID, January 2000.
Mhm.
What was it? 2020.
Y'all still got the
Um,
festival though, right?
HIERO Day. Yeah,
Yeah.
we still got the festival. It's at well, we're throwing it in a different capacity because of the mandates and the pandemic and whatnot. But yeah, we
Mhm.
still had that 10 years strong. HIERO Day weekend.
That's fucking dope. That's like, man, if I were not scared to get on the plane, I'd have been there.
Oh man, it's dope. You gotta make it, man. Take that cool little scenic train trip, man. I heard it's dope. I heard that scenic train trip is dope.
I
Now
thought about it.
it's worth checking out. How far away you coming from?
I'm in Ohio now.
Okay, all right, Ohio. Yeah, that's a nice trip, man.
That's about 3 days. Some
Ooh,
shit like
time is
that.
money. Time is money. Yeah.
Well,
But I'm not mad at you about the plane thing. I've never liked flying on planes. I still don't. You know, I kind of just bury my apprehension because I kind of just have to do it. And I used to drink a lot to get on a plane. I don't drink anymore, so I don't know what I'm gonna do now. Just kind of smoke some weed. I don't know.
what made you stop?
I just wanted to. I during the pandemic, I've been drinking my whole damn life, and it has to do with just different life shit. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Just how I grew up. just what the environment I grew up in, and then being in the music business, you know, didn't help none. They just feed you drink. They didn't feed us drink since we got in it, and then it's a kind of job where you could drink on the job, so there's nothing telling you stop. And then yeah, I got to the point in the pandemic where I was like, I don't even want to do this shit no more, so I just stopped. It's been about I'm not gonna say it all nonchalantly, like I just stopped, but I did. I did. You know, I stopped last February, and I went to some meetings, and yeah, just I haven't drank since.
You know, it's
Quit
crazy.
smoke,
I got a
quit smoking
chance to
cigs
interview.
too.
Man,
Go ahead.
I got a chance to interview Tash from the Licks a couple of
My
days
bro,
ago,
my brother,
actually,
my brother.
and he said it'll be 2 years for him. I want to say he said in May, March or May.
Yeah, he was just working on a year when I started. When I
Mhm.
first quit, he was just like done with it, or just about to be a year, or around a year. That's my brother. Yeah, he drank way more than I did, so I'm really happy. Happy. I mean, you know, that's the alcoholics. You feel me? But yeah,
Yeah,
that's my brother. Love Tash, love J Raw, and E Swift. Love all them dudes. I mean,
man. They I remember watching on Drink Champs. They brought up a versus between you and them.
yeah, nah, yeah. I watch that shit. They don't want it like that. They don't want it like that. You know what I'm saying? They
You
my
don't think?
brothers and all that. They were well, I think they said something like somebody brought up hieroglyphics or something, right? And they
Yeah.
was like, oh, we got something for Hiero. But listen, we friends and all that, but hieroglyphics versus the licks ain't gonna be a good one for them.
Now
But
you know I'm gonna have to clip this
I,
too, right?
man, I listen. Anyone who know A plus, like, and clip this part too, man. Like, I don't mean nothing by it. I'm a very straightforward person, and I always say what I mean. You know what I'm saying? I love them dudes. But I literally think that, like, we just probably got more shit for high. I think that's unfair. The licks,
Mhm.
the alcoholics, and the hieroglyphics. They got the alcoholics. We got Souls, Dale, Casual, and Hiero. It's just it's an unfair thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't say that in no way to spite them.
I mean,
It's
they
just
got
seemed
King
like
T, they got Exhibit.
I mean, nah, well, that's if you're talking about the Liquid Crew versus
Yeah, you would
Hieroglyphics.
have to though if you gonna say
No,
Hyro.
what was said on Drink Champs was alcoholics versus Hiero, and that's what I'm responding to. No one said
Okay,
Liquid Crew versus Hiero, you know,
okay,
or I would be saying something different right now. But what was
okay.
literally said on there was alcoholics versus the Hieroglyphics crew, and that's just like not fair. You know what I mean?
And for the record, I don't want an artist that like an MC to be like so and so is better than me. Like that's a fail for me right there. I don't care how
Yeah,
trash I might think you are or how great I might think you are. I want you to feel like you are the sliced bread of all sliced breads. You got to have that
yeah,
confidence. That's like MC in
yeah.
101 for me.
Oh man, yeah, and certainly, man, they're my buddies, and I didn't take nothing by it. I'm like I said, I'm really just straightforward, and you know, they supposed to say that on there because he was like, oh yeah, I got something for them niggas. Like, that's my homeboy, and I didn't take nothing by it, but literally, I believe the alcoholics versus the hieroglyphics is you got to have a different mix up. We just got too many artists. It's just, you know,
Yeah.
now. Now, I wouldn't want to go. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, enough about that.
Let me ask
But
you
yeah,
this. You
I
guys been
love
putting
them
in a lot of work
people.
for years. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Y'all did the underground scene, you know, out there on the West Coast. Give me an artist that you thought, man, this guy or female is bananas, and for whatever reason it didn't pan out for them.
What do you mean? Like any artist? It'll be an artist no one heard of, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Somebody that you like. I've got favorite artists that the majority of the world has never heard of, but for me, the shit resonates because it hit me during times of my life where it meant the most.
Let me think about that. Artists that it didn't pan out for that I thought was super dope. I don't know, man. Oh, you know who I could say. Yeah, the brother Snoop from Extra Prolific. He used to be down with hieroglyphics back in the day. I thought he was a friend too, and
Mhm.
he put out an album too. It was dope. I produced four tracks on it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he would be able to go really, really far, and I thought he was really dope. And he's probably an artist that that would fit that criteria for me. Yeah, it's back in the day he left the group because of
Mm-hmm.
circumstances after the
Mm-hmm.
first album, and he left Jive Records. He went on to do his own thing independently, but
Mm-hmm.
he was really dope, and just because of unfortunate circumstances, I don't think he ended up as big as he could have been at that time. That's to say nothing about what he has done, nothing
Mm-hmm.
negative about what he has done, but yeah, that's one. Yeah, he put out the album on Jive. I think it was in 94, 90, 94, 95, and the album was called Like It Should Be.
Mm-hmm.
Extra Prolific was his group's name, and I did 4 tracks on there. My
Yeah, I
tracks
was
were all
looking for an
dope.
ink pen to write that down. Kind of want to check that out.
Yeah, it's he was in Hieroglyphics. He was like full fledged member of the crew.
How did HIERO
It's a
start?
um, that's a pretty long story. Basically, uh, it was a bunch of fringe hip hoppers, including myself, that we all kind of from the same neighborhood in East Oakland, and around like 11th grade, it kind of all came together. But prior to that, we were all on our own separate things, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
and we're all from East Oakland, most of us. And around 11th grade, we formed Hieroglyphics, and at first it was like Casual and Opio was over there.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Dale and Tajay was over here. Um, and around 11th grade, we started connecting the dots and adding other members, and yeah, so it kind of came together organically. Me and Tajay been a group since elementary school. You know what I'm saying?
Jeez.
Uh, uh, I've been friends with Dale since first grade, and me and Tajay started recording with Dale in like 7th grade. Um, Doing our own we had our own crew and stuff. We were connected with Sir Jinx from the
Yeah.
Lynch Mob, because Sir Jinx was Ice Cube's DJ, and Dale was Ice Cube's cousin. So that's how that happened. And then
I
me and Tajay
forgot
would
about that.
me and Tajay would travel to LA with Dale and record with Sir Jinx back in the day. Easy E wanted to sign me and Tajay as a kid group back in the day.
Uh-huh.
Um, all kind of stuff. I think Dr. Dre paid for some of our travel to get down there because Jinx was recording with Dell, and yeah. So that's kind of we've been at it for a minute.
Man, so what happened with the Easy E?
Just didn't pan out. Well, Cube ended up leaving NWA for one. And then he started the Lynch Mob, the Lynch Mob, and what's the name of his Street Knowledge. He
Yeah.
started his label Street Knowledge, and he signed Dell, and Dell no longer was, the Easy E thing was out the door. It wasn't cool. So Dell's was rocking with Cube, ended up getting a deal with Elektra through Cube, and then Dell put us on couple of the HIERO members on the B side to a second single,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's when the label started checking us out and be like, oh, who are these guys that was on this Dell single? And out of all the people, and Souls Mischief, Casual got a deal from there.
How come Dale isn't mentioned amongst the Titans of the West Coast?
I think he is. It depends on who you're talking to, but I hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But those who know, and he's just one of those. When he's an anomaly. The whole Hieroglyphics, how we get down, it's like it's never been going and doing exactly, doing what everybody's doing, or like any way normal, or like we always been on some beat, kind of like grassroots underdog, beat of our own drum type group. So even all the way from those early days to like the success at the time to even now, we're just considered like we're an anomaly type group. So hip hop is a very mainstream
Yeah.
art form, and even throughout time. So people who mention Dale are people who like are looking for that kind of stuff and know that having that kind of knowledge about the culture, and so he wouldn't be mentioned in somebody who's only looking through whatever these kind of groups from the West Coast or nothing, because he's not typical at all.
Yeah.
But those who know.
And let's be honest, y'all didn't fit the white supremacy mold of what rapping should be.
Exactly. We didn't fit that. We weren't. It's no sex and violence and drugs like overload, and
Yeah.
that's we were in the industry at the time when that mandate came into the record industry. We were literally at Jive Records when they got the call from upstairs to like not fuck with nothing progressive no more.
Wait,
I
wait, wait, wait,
remember.
wait, wait. There was an actual call.
Well, it was a industry wide mandate. They had like secret meetings and stuff, and the call came down the line. The company started shifting and started congealing, and anything progressive was out the door, and only sex and violence would be supported from here on forward for the most part. And that was a real thing. And for us, when the way it came down to us is that
Mm-hmm.
they were like, well, listen, y'all ain't gangsters and but y'all could be a boy group and be like Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince in the Boom Shake the Room era, not in the early days era. And they came to us and they was like, if y'all could do y'all turn into a pop group, we'll keep you on the label. If you don't turn into a pop group, we're gonna end your career. That literally happened to us while we were on Jive Records. So that mandate, when it came into the industry, it was like, be a gang, turn your shit to killing, turn your shit to overly sex, or turn your shit into like pop entertainment, or we ain't got no room for you. There's a real thing.
Oh,
It affected different groups differently. A lot of people got dropped from their labels. Gold selling artists like Pete Rock and CL Smooth and shit. People who are actually making money. It was really some came from the agenda up top type shit.
that explains pumps and the bumps.
I don't know what happened with. I mean, I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think Pumps and the Bumps was too far off of what he was already doing. No disrespect, I love Hammer, but just to be honest, I think
Mhm.
Pumps and the Bumps is kind of he was doing dance music. He was doing club dance
Yeah, but he
music,
had
and
on
I think
clothes. Your man had on a whole ass like that shit was wild, bro.
touche. He did touche. He did have he. I think you're right. He did throw on speedos. He did. He did. He did. But but
And
but in his defense, the music wasn't much different from what he was already making. But I guess the visual does change things.
it changed. And the crazy part is he had won a lot of hip hop over until he did that, and he
Yeah,
and he
I mean,
lost him.
yeah, he did. I mean, Hammer. I mean, enough for he's from where we from. The
Yeah,
most respect to Hammer. He's like whatever dancing they was doing. That we know him. We know them as street people. You feel me? They was like they was on
yeah,
some. He could have easily been like on some gangster shit if he wanted
yeah.
to. So
I've heard.
so I'm glad that he was more on spiritual stuff and dancing and having fun stuff as opposed to what he could have been doing. And salute to him. He's a godfather from where we from. So.
Yeah, and I no disrespect either, Hammer. I don't want you coming after me. I've heard stories, bro.
Nah, yeah, you don't want
Shout out to
to
you,
fuck with Hammer and his people got hammers.
man. I don't
They
need
got
that
hammers.
energy, bro. And I've often asked this question though. In hindsight, was Dolores Tucker right
When she said what?
when she was trying to end gangster music?
I think she was right in a sense. I think
Mhm.
there was a gap in her understanding of how to talk to the culture about it, and her means of getting her particular point across. Um, I think that is because of just ignorance, not negative. Like she not nothing negative on her part. I
Yeah.
mean, her way of portraying that concept to the
Mhm.
culture was off putting to anybody in
Yeah.
the culture. So you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? She was just like fuck all that shit, and everybody in those actual situations in the streets or in poverty or in the at risk situations. If you come in like ban all that shit, it's all horrible. Well, you're not, you get more beats with Honey, and
Yeah.
she didn't have none. So
Yeah.
um, I think what she was trying, if I want to shoot her some bail, what she was trying to say is like this ain't good for the community,
Yeah.
you know, and we need to do something about it. But the way it came out wasn't very
She came
productive.
off like an old bitter broad.
She came off like a old bitter person.
Yeah.
Yeah, broad.
Yeah.
Yeah. She
Although,
did. I wasn't fucking with her at all because I'm in the culture. Although
yeah.
now in hindsight, I do understand that her point was valid. Her point had validity. It's just that
Yeah.
when you come in hooting, hollering, and shooting, people ain't gonna really hear your words. They just gonna see how it look.
And then we have, I won't say we, but hip hop has regurgitated the same excuse. Like when NWA was talking about things, that was that I didn't know anything about LA. I didn't know anything about Compton. You know, I didn't there wasn't the internet where people could visually show me shit and I could be like, oh, they living exactly like we, or they going through the same struggle. So they were highlighting things. Well, now, you know, the light's been shined on it for 30 years. You can't keep
Well, yeah,
saying, you know, it's
yeah.
the
Nah,
reality.
yeah. It's a lame excuse now, and it has been for mad
Yeah.
long. And one thing I like to point out too, is that the NWA album was, a lot of that was a revolutionary album. It wasn't just like, it wasn't uh just kill anybody anyway. I mean, that second album when they raped, doing all kind of crazy shit. Well,
Yeah.
that's when they took it to the shock value. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Yeah.
that first album was largely, it had a lot of political overtones to it, and
I
and,
would say
and
the
I think
second
that,
album though. It was the second album.
uh, huh?
Because Straight Outta Compton was the second album, wasn't it? Because I think they had an album
No,
before
no,
that one.
no, no. They didn't. They didn't. They had a compilation album before that with a
That
bunch of
okay,
other
yeah.
people. A
All
bunch of
right, my
other
bad.
people. It's not, yeah, nah,
Yeah.
no harm, no foul. But their first like real NWA album was Straight Outta Compton, and they were talking. That wasn't like
That was some real shit.
that was some real shit. And
Yeah.
it was it was largely political, and you could really tell how when Ice Cube came with his albums after that and linked up with Public Enemy, that was an extension of that essence of NWA that Cube took with him. And then the
Yeah.
next NWA album, albeit mad dope, they kind of just left all the political shit alone and just went
Yeah.
for the shock value of the murder
Yeah.
rap. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a lame ass excuse to be like we rap. Yeah, we just rapping about reality. It's true that they may be doing that, but that was lame. That excuse was lame back then, because there are people who rap about reality who don't glorify it and who actually make an effort to like show what's wrong about it. Like most hip hop was in the 80s.
Yeah.
That was street oriented. It was kind of showing how fucked up that shit is. Like all the way
Yeah.
back to the early 80s when you talking about the message and shit. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm in my 40s, man. I have no qualms saying that, like that lame ass excuse that we talking about reality. It really is just a scapegoat excuse just to do the shit
Yeah.
and say it and whatever. And that's no judgment. I'm just keeping it a buck. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
If you're
saying?
chasing
It's
the
like,
bag, just say you're chasing the fucking bag. Don't try to
yeah,
tell me, you know, the
I
bag has
respect
got,
that more.
you
Yeah,
know, jewels
yeah,
in it that I'm supposed to
yeah.
learn some shit from.
The fact of the matter is too, and I've been in the industry a long time, and a lot of my friends like make this kind of music. You can't. It's clearly a scapegoat excuse type thing, because you can't even continue that behavior once you start getting the bag in this
Yeah.
industry without bringing trouble to yourself and your bag and all your people. You know what I'm
Man.
saying? It's like I don't know anybody who's successful at hip hop who's still doing any of that shit, who's making money off hip hop, who's still doing any of the shit, living in the same areas that they talk about. None of that shit. And
Yeah.
it's, we're weird as a culture. You know what I'm saying? We real like scary like that. It's like, you know, like motherfuckers to get the bag. Yeah, no, I mean, fools to get a bag and be like, if I start saying some real shit, I'll lose this bag. So fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like we real cowardly like that. But we're
Oh,
growing though. We're growing. You know, like more. You know, we're growing.
I will say that I think technology has allowed people to realize you can get the bag and be yourself in some aspects.
In some aspects, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
I think it is it's definitely made a shift for the better, to where you don't feel like you're forced to do this only to get on, because these gatekeepers say that this is, if you don't do this you can't get on. Unfortunately, the problems that plague our community are deeper than hip hop, and
Oh my God.
hip hop just kind of puts a magnifying glass on how fucked up we are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think LaRussell is like a really good example
I
of
love LaRussell.
being right. Like I fucks with
Yeah, so
LaRussell.
I fucks with LaRussell tough, man. I've been fucking with him for like since I heard about him. I think a couple years now, and yeah, I'm a big advocate and fan of his, and it's like, and it's it's dope to see as a senior member of the culture, to have young dudes on what he's on is encouraging more
Yeah.
than anything.
Yeah.
And I salute that brother, and I wish him and his people the most success. And I love watching what he's doing and being a fan of it,
Absolutely.
being a
And
supporter.
I don't know the cat, but you can invest in his music. Like he allows people, just random
Yeah,
strangers, to invest in his whole shit. So
yeah.
that's
He's not
revolutionary
he's
right
not
there.
making. He definitely he's definitely pushing the boundaries, and he's not using none of those lame excuses. He's still he's still from where he's from, and he still could
Yep.
rap about what he could rap about. You know, and I love it. You know, I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. Mental health. I see.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
see you big on that. Like
yeah,
what happened?
yeah.
Did something happen, or did you
No,
just wake up one day and
nah,
say, you know what, I want to change the narrative myself?
Mental health has been like for people who mental health is for everybody. It's for me.
Hmm.
For me, it's about destigmatizing the topic and normalizing the conversation. It's not like fucking America happened. You know what I'm saying? Everybody here is dealing with mental health issues. Just because like it ain't no new thing. The whole reason we're fucked as a people is because we don't deal with that shit. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The whole reason what happened to the trauma that has happened to our people is all mental health issues. And the fact that we're doing better as a people and we're not in bonds doesn't change the fact that we have serious scars. Like, look at how we act when we get some bread. Look at the addiction problem in our with our artists, and the violence problem with our artists. Like rappers dying and shooting each other up, and pills and lean and all kind of shit. And I'm not trying to sound like an old ass dude. I'm saying these things are normal and everybody's accepting that we talking about it like nigga, this is just life. Well, my point is these are all health mental health issues. It ain't like nothing happened. It's like, look, if we take our denial out of it and have an honest conversation with ourselves, this is some fucked up behavior. And you don't see nobody
Man.
else doing it, and nobody else mad that we are doing it. You know what I'm saying? This is all mental health, problems. And people have the stigma like mental health, oh, that blah, blah, blah. That's some macho ego bullshit. You feel me? Like mental health it can go all the way down to, I always say this. If you a motherfucker that like, if somebody disagrees with you and it
Hmm.
makes you angry and you can't agree to disagree, that's a mental health issue. That's low emotional intelligence. Like people don't look at it like that because they're like, oh, I can be whatever I want. But if you have an honest conversation, somebody else disagreeing with you making you so angry that you show them kind of emotions, that means you don't have control of your emotions. That's a mental health issue. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I found myself at this point in life after, I've had my own issues with mental health my whole life. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like as we all do. I'm just not scared to admit the shit. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? And I got to the point where I can make a difference with my platform and with the people who fuck with me. And I started getting encouragement from people being like, I'm glad you're saying that shit. Because I'm one of them people. I'm like mad straightforward. Even if it's not popular to say it, the real thing, I'm gonna say the real thing. And it may ruffle some feathers, but it ruffles the feathers of cowards, people who are scared to say it. I'm not. So like, how they ruffle feathers gonna stop me from flying? You feel me? So
You know
I
what though?
figured that.
Seeing a brother do it is some powerful shit, because we aren't allowed to
Mhm.
cry.
Yeah, well, shit. That there in itself that's the most ridiculous shit in the world. Like we ain't allowed. Like first of all, you're right. Right, I agree with what you're saying. But listen to that. We ain't allowed to cry. That is some like bad information passed from generation to generation to generation that we still are feeling the effects of. We have a shit ton of bad information as a culture, as a
Yeah.
people, handed down
Yeah.
for generations, and a lot of trauma and a lot of scars that go unaddressed because it's bad, because of this that bad information. Like you can't cry. Let me tell you, every macho ass motherfucker I know that be doing all that shit, them motherfuckers cry. They
Yes,
do.
they do.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Every
Yes.
every one of these like these tough ass fucking bit, all these motherfuckers be in love with a chick with their heart broken. I mean, it's all bullshit. It's
Man.
all bullshit. Every nigga, like, listen, every motherfucker that got their ego propped up, you could tell his fear when a motherfucker's ego is propping them up. And it doesn't, the argument can go on forever and there's denial and cognitive dissonance, but it does not change the fact. If you're propping your ego up on anything, there's some fear involved there. And
Facts.
we can lie outwardly because to other people and on platforms because of how our ego makes us feel like we need to do, but you can't lie to yourself. And you know what I'm saying? You can't lie to yourself. And motherfuckers be at home crying, motherfuckers be sad, motherfuckers be depressed, motherfuckers be heartbroken, motherfuckers
Man.
be all of that shit. And like we can't talk about it. That is the dumbest shit in the, like, to try to make a logical excuse for why we can't feel and address our emotions. it does not make sense. It's insanity. It's clear
Yeah,
insanity. And
man.
I'm not saying this in judgment of anything. I'm saying this in support of myself and my people. It's fucking insanity. So my whole point is like I've always been a straightforward person. And like I'll cry when I get sad at some shit. But also I won't be no pushover and I'll fuck a nigga up too. So like I'm just gonna say some real shit. You know what I'm saying? And I choose to not be on the fuck shit everybody else is on. When it comes to fear of having an honest conversation about myself. And when I started doing the shit, other
Mm-hmm.
people start being like, "Thank you." And that's what gave me the idea to just kind of like, man, this conversation is good for people. It's helping people. People are hitting me, telling me that shit, and I'm not losing no points for like being a real motherfucker because I am one. You know what I'm saying? I don't got to sit around and pretend. You know what
But
I'm
that
saying? I
you
can
know
have
that definition is just be bullshit most of the time. A
for
real
absolutely,
go like oh I
absolutely.
went to prison for 20 years. I'm a real nigga. No, you're not.
That ain't
You got caught.
that don't
You're
make you real.
like
That don't make
you're a
you
real
real.
bad criminal if you want to be honest about it. Like,
I
but
mean,
that doesn't make you
getting back
real.
to it, that's bad. That's that bad information. Like I'm real because of prison. That's the dumbest shit in the world. And
Oh
anybody who's
my
been to
god,
prison will actually, anybody who's
they
been to
tell you.
prison and is having an honest conversation, they'll tell you that. Now,
Yeah,
if they doing that ego prop to look a certain way around other motherfuckers, then do that. But a real motherfucker will be like, man, nah, this shit is not cool at all. You know.
yeah,
And
not the
my
wave.
whole point, not the wave, and you're a horrible criminal. Like, I mean, but again, it's that powers that be shit. There's a reason why our people are like not helped from being ignorant. You know, not from not
Yeah,
giving better information and stuff. That's a whole nother conversation. But as far as myself, I'm normalizing. I'm trying to normalize having honest conversations, regardless of like fear-based egoism and shit. I don't give a
mhm.
fuck about none of that shit. I'd rather just be when I say real person, I mean having an honest conversation, not saying bullshit and believing my own bullshit and propagating it to people out of fear.
Yeah,
This is in no way a judgment to anybody else. But like if a motherfucker, like I don't want to live a life to where I can't be honest all the time with shit. And I don't want to be at the beck and call of other people's bullshit. And I've never have been. Anybody who know me I don't fuck with that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be if you full of shit, you're gonna have a problem with me because I don't subscribe to it. You know what I'm saying? That's
I'm
just
not
how
mad
I
at
am.
that. I'm not mad at that.
I've always been that way, and it only caused problems with suckers. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, but I will say that you have been blessed to not necessarily have to report. Like most of us are so used to turning on and off our blackness and other areas of our personality when we go to work because we got to work for X, Y, and Z.
I get it.
And that shit ain't easy, bro. Like sometimes you intermingle the two when you shouldn't. You know, sometimes you at work like when I lost my mother. I had to go to my car on my lunch break to cry.
Hmm.
Yeah, I didn't want nobody at work knowing that I'm crying and shit, which it
Yeah,
shouldn't have, like I lost my mother. That shouldn't be an issue.
I
But
hear you.
you know, society dictates that I'm supposed to have it together while I'm on the job site,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
I'm a weak nigga.
yeah. I
You
hear
know,
you. You're right. You're right. I am fortunate that I don't have to report in that way. And I have made made things difficult by being that way in my own world. You know, and
mhm,
I totally get that. And I don't got all the answers. And what I want to do is normalize the conversation and destigmatize the topic,
yeah,
and then so we can actually start talking about it. Like the more we talk about it, the more we get to the root of the shit. I don't got all the I'm learning as I go. And it's going to be a difficult process. Getting out of shedding denial is always a difficult process,
man,
or facing the tough shit is always a difficult process. But what's more
man.
difficult, living a whole life not facing it, or that moment where you go through the hardship of facing it to live a freer to have a freer spirit? And again, I'm looking for the answers like everybody else, but my thing is I don't think the answers are in deflection and in ignoring the problem.
Yeah.
So
And
so
I don't know
I
how we
think
can get our younger generation to tap into that too. Because like as you get older, you realize that you can only run from like from yourself for so long.
It's all self. Everything is
Yeah.
every problem. When we discuss the problems that we have and we make them outwardly in the world, that's our first mistake. You know what I'm saying? That's always our first mistake. We can't control people, places, and things outside of ourselves. All we can control is what we do and how we react to things. So, it's to have an emotion about something like that makes me angry. That's one thing. But to blame that motherfucker for that you angry, that's bad information, because the only way to deal, you can't control that. So the only way to deal with that is to train ourselves on what's the proper way for me to emotionally and spiritually deal with this angst or this anger or this problem or this adversity. And we are constantly always looking outward for the answers. The answers are never outwards. The answers are always inward. And if a motherfucker's blaming anybody for anything in the world making them feel a certain way, and they haven't mastered self yet, then they full of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one, if one hasn't done everything they possibly can do, and we don't know everything that we need to do, but we know what we haven't done that we can do as people. And if we haven't exhausted doing that yet, and we busy pointing to somebody else that made us feel a certain way, that's denial right there. You bullshitting yourself. You know what I'm saying? All the answers are with self. We master self, we don't have these problems. And we can't. And my whole thing about mental health is like, we can't master self without being open about conversations that we don't be having and need to be had. And that's just my thing. And this is not about judgment or pointing fingers at nobody else. This is just like real shit. Like, people who are blaming other people for shit all the time. Now, not to say that people shouldn't be held accountable for the things they do, but for us to be like, my problem is 100% you, who I can't control what you do, and then so that means I could be on some nut shit because of that. That's fuckery. That's bullshitting yourself. And the world we live in lets us roll like that, but that doesn't mean it isn't devoid of logic. It doesn't mean it's not straight. Oh yeah, oh man. And how many times we've seen that? You know, motherfucker being all huffing and puffing until they do something stupid and get in front of that judge and do that time. And how you know what I'm saying?
And nigga crying in.
Crying and telling and snitching, and all kind of fuck shit. So that ego prop shit is all bullshit, and it serves its purposes. But when a motherfucker, when it runs you, as opposed to it being something that we control ourselves, that's our problem. And if we talking to anybody else about that shit, we just deflecting. We ain't dealing with self, and all of this stuff is difficult. That's why I'm trying to normalize the conversation and destigmatize the conversation of mental health. Because we ain't never gonna fix shit if we like, oh, nigga, I ain't crazy, but I can't control my emotions. Nigga, if you can't control your emotions, you crazy. Nigga, you need some help.
You got some issues going on.
We live in a world where people think it's normalized and okay to be a motherfucker who can't control their emotions. You know what I'm saying?
Because that makes you money.
Yeah, but look at your soul. You know what I'm saying? When we can't take no money with you, and I've seen people on their deathbed and the regrets they have.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
Yeah,
it's not, and it's real honest, because that's somebody creaking on the corners of death, and know that this money and all that shit talking and all that bravado and all of that key and all that shit don't mean nothing when you about to die.
Yeah,
I seen it myself, and I promised myself the first time I saw that, it was my grandmother. I promised myself, I'm never gonna die with them kind of regrets. I'm just gonna keep it a buck while I'm here. Better living, man.
I'll say one thing. The problems that it causes on us physically are so underrated. Like we don't realize how much internalizing all this shit puts stress on not just us mentally, but how that mental stress translates into fucking up your heart, to fuck up your lungs, to fuck up your just your whole body. I'm telling you, you know, like
it does. I mean, and look at the addiction rates, the suicide rates in our black people. I mean, our shit is our trauma is generational and hundreds of years old. And we walking around not addressing this shit is not making the shit better. And we supposed to be cool because we got a couple billionaires and shit. And you know what I'm saying? And you know, it's ridiculous. And I swear, man, it's fucking ridiculous. It's almost like being in a fucking movie. But man, the curtains been up for me and the lights is on, man. I done walked out the theater a long time ago.
Man, let me ask you this, totally unrelated. Where
Yes, sir.
maybe I missed it, but where's the documentary for the glyphics for HIERO?
The closest that comes to that is a documentary called Till Infinity,
Okay.
and you could see that documentary is it's been out for some years. It actually we took it through the film festival circuit.
Mhm.
I think it might have won a couple too. And now it's free. You can freely watch it on Vivo or YouTube. It's called Till Infinity, and
Okay.
basically what it is, it's a documentary made by Shamari Smith, um, about the making of 93 Till Infinity. But what it in turn ends up covering is um, the birth of hieroglyphics and how we came together,
Mhm.
and going from a major to independent to Hiero Day later in life. And it's a documentary about all that. There's a lot of good information in there. There's some things that are off. Like it gives the impression that hieroglyphics kind of like was a thing in like junior high, but it really didn't really happen until like uh 11th grade. But
Mhm.
other than that, it's fairly accurate. It has all the members of the crew in it, and it's a very good watch. It's called Till Infinity,
Okay.
and again, it's on YouTube and on Vivo. It's
So
dope. It's dope. I like watching it myself. I learned a lot of it just from watching it my damn self. You know what I mean?
who did the logo?
The logo was made by Dell.
Fucking
Yeah,
fire logo.
yeah. It just came out of his mind. And what's funny about the logo is that he just made it up one day, and then years later, somebody came to my house and pointed and brought a book to my house and pointed out that it actually is a Mayan hieroglyph that means infinity, harmonic resonance, and the number 8. And Dell didn't know that when he made it up. And I actually got that
That's
book.
crazy.
Yeah. So somebody came to my house with that book, and they wouldn't let me borrow the book. So I copied, and this is like in the 90s, wasn't no internet
Mhm.
or nothing. I copied the chapter out of the book and showed it to the rest of the crew, and everybody was like, "Yo, that's crazy," because Dell had no idea that when he made it up. So that's just some cosmic shit in itself. But yeah, that was all Dell.
Yeah, definitely top 3 logos in hip hop.
Oh, man, give thanks.
Oh man, come on, man. Like I got to shout out Wu-Tang because Wu-Tang is probably one of the top
Wu
logos,
Tang,
just period.
Wu
Uh,
Tang. That's family.
I don't think there's another one better, more recognizable
So
in hip hop.
so the what magazine? Some magazines said that it was top 3. It was like Wu Tang, uh, HIERO, and the Rolling Stones. This is like some years ago. The most recognizable logos in music history. This is like not modern. I'm sure this is well over 10, 15 years ago when this was written. But
I could see
yeah,
that.
man, I'm thankful. I'm extremely thankful because it's a brand in itself. Like there's people who don't even really listen to the music who rock the merch, and you could be wearing a HIERO shirt and you got you in a club because people gonna be like, I see you, like my dad be wearing the shit and people come up to him in the grocery store like, how do you know about HIERO?
And you know
Yeah,
what?
so
They'll
yeah,
make an assumption about your musical selection when they see that shirt too.
they will, but it's a trip. Then you go into the hood and see somebody in the hood rocking the shit. Like, how do you know about them? You know what I mean? So it's universal, man. And somebody actually sent me a picture of that symbol scratched on a rock in Iraq. I think like a soldier took a picture of it and posted it online. It's like, damn, a HIERO symbol scratched on a rock in Iraq.
That's
Crazy.
crazy.
Man. We worldwide, baby.
What's the most obscure place y'all performed?
The most obscure place I performed was likely with Souls of Mischief, and I want to say Poland, Prague, shit like that. You know what I mean? Prague is a standout in my mind. Poland is a standout in my mind as well. Been a lot of places, but those places stand out. They stick with me um, to this day.
I bet they know every word too. Can't speak the language, but know every word.
Yeah, in Europe, it's a trip like that. Like you go to a place they do not know the language at all and know the words and know it like excitedly. It's really a trip how they support out there.
Like, what type of effect does that leave on you? Like, to know that you created something that fucking profound.
It gives me a feeling of like gratitude, thankfulness. Like it's really surreal. It's really surreal, and it always has been. And I always try to remember that. Like one of the things that I always say, and I've been saying this for like mad years, is two things that keep me that have kept me grounded in this long ass journey. And I've kept this in my mind since the beginning. One, it could have never happened, so be thankful for that. And two, it could end tomorrow, so be thankful for the moment. And I've been doing that the last 30 years, man. And every day it's still surreal. I don't, I'm thankful. I'm thankful. I'm grateful.
So you still selling beats?
Still sell beats. I still
If somebody wants to
verses.
get a beat from you, they want to get a verse from you, how they reach out?
You can reach out to me at so all of my handles for social media is like either A+ or like HIERO A+. That's HIERO APLUS. That's on IG and Twitter and Facebook and all of that. That's the easiest way to get at me. I still got it. I still got beats. I still make music all the time. I put out 4 albums in 2020, and I put out 2 instrumental albums this year already called Sagano Road. Instrumentals, they're all on streaming. You can stream them or get them on Bandcamp. But yeah, man, follow me on Twitter, follow me on IG, Facebook, Bandcamp.
Where's the HIERO trees?
Man, that's a very convoluted good question. But I man, it's something about like when you're working with a bunch of people and trying to get them all on one accord, because we like there's money on the table for that. I brought, like, people talk to me about it all the time. Like, we all know people in the cannabis industry out here, because California is like ground zero for that shit.
Man.
And always has been. Even though Colorado got the law started quick, they did it on the back of Prop 215, which was purposely. So California started with 215, let somebody else follow through with it, and then followed up and did it, and now the whole world's doing it. But it's money on the table, man, and when you got to get everybody together on shit, and it's still money on the table for that. I know people have approached me a million times. I'll always come back to the crew and be like, yo, look, blah blah blah, and there's never like a consensus on how it should be done. So it's something about like having so many personalities and getting everybody to be on one accord. It's a challenge, but it's far from impossible.
Yeah, I got the big boys out there too. Fucking backpack bullies, and is it bullies?
Oh, listen. The Northern Bay Area is the weed capital of the world.
Goodness.
The Northern California is the weed capital of the world. There's many reasons for that. Our climate it has been growing the best weeds for as long as motherfuckers can imagine. All the good strains that's everywhere out in the world now, and people are having the hydro facilities all day where you can grow anywhere. That shit is growing naturally out here in the wild, and then our shit is just the best. There's no doubt about it. I mean, this is facts. Like, listen, I've been traveling. This is undeniable shit. You feel me? This is undeniable. Like, everybody thinks their weed is good, but I've been traveling the world for 30 years, and our weed has always been better. And when our weed gets in other places, their weed gets better, and our weed is always a step up from what people get from us. So, and we have the biggest weed economy in the world, California. So,
is it getting too much though? Like, some of this shit is ridiculous.
Weed is something that it's disposable. Weed, like, what you use it is gone. So there's never going to be enough.
No, I mean like the strength of some of the strains.
What I think is dope is that, I think you're right. But what I think is dope is that you have the most potent strains, and you have a choice all the way down to the lightest strains. Now you actually got a myriad of choices, and you could pick the one that suits your physiology. You know what I'm saying? Instead of taking chances like motherfuckers had been doing since the 70s, and like eating a brownie that could put you in a comatose, and now you know exactly now you know exactly what's in some shit. So if
I'm from the brickweed era, like, where's that at?
You mean the brickweed getting all the seeds and stems out?
Yes.
And that shit, you could hit somebody with the weed and give them a concussion type shit. Yes. Yeah, I remember that.
Ooh, take you
Yeah.
half an hour just to break down a
Oh,
fucking
dude,
blunt.
man, I remember them. I remember them times, man. Even then in California, we had weed without seasoning. I remember back in the '90s, we when Souls first got signed, and we used to go to New York and smoke our weed with rappers, popular rappers, people. I'm not gonna say no names, people you all well and know today, like Redman and Busta Rhymes and shit. I said I wasn't gonna say no names, but we used to get people fucked up to the point to where people thought we was lacing our shit. And this is the '90s, bringing our '90s weed out to the East Coast and now out to the South. People would think we'll lace the weed, and how can you just break it down with your fingers and there be no seeds? I mean, we've been fucking up hip hop. We've been getting hip hop heads high outside of California since the '90s with that Cali shit. You know what I'm saying? I done had some of your favorite rappers choking, looking like they was about to pass out.
Okay, last question. I'm gonna let you go. I know
You're
you got shit to do.
welcome. You're welcome.
Who is the rapper that surprised you tapping out early?
Oh, let's bring it back full circle. I remember see, I know the Alcoholics for mad long, because we met them when Dale was recording with his first album with the Lynch Mob before the Souls of Mischief was out. You know, DJ Pooh was a part of the Lynch Mob. DJ Pooh was part of the Liquid Crew. You know, he's King T DJ. So we used to kick it with the licks. And we would be the young dudes kicking it with the licks while all the gangsters and everybody was doing shit. And so I've known them brothers since back then. Now, later on in life, we got a record deal. The Licks got a record deal, right? And we're like, oh, shit, you too, my brother. So we went on the road and would tour together. And I'm like, I could drink. You know what I'm saying? So I remember being like out drinking the Licks and being like, y'all call the Alcoholics. How y'all gonna let a skinny ass Jamaican make y'all tap out from drinking? I was like, y'all need to change y'all name, niggas. So that's my favorite story of somebody tapping out. It wasn't weed, but I'm like, man, I drink more than the Alcoholics. What's going on in the world?
Yeah, that had to be something right there.
There's a famous time we had Redman tapping out up in Battery Studios. He came into one of our mixing studios, had him tapping out. Yeah, that was fun too. That was fun.
Yeah, man, I'd pay money to see that.
My favorite one is we was in New York and we ended up kicking it with YZ and his crew, and we ended up going to Brooklyn. We smoked some weed. We smoked some weed with that man, and he had a full blown, like, he locked us in the house and got turned into like started doing paranoid speeches and shit. He said that he was Jesus the mob boss, and we were his disciples and we needed to help him go get Tretch. Can't make this shit up, bro. That's YZ. That's my man. Yeah, that might be my most favorite. One of my favorite tap out moments. Yeah, I remember we seen him like a couple days later in Manhattan. He was like, "Boy, I was high, man. I was high." I was like, "Yeah." We was like, "Yeah, you was." Adolf the Assassin was there. Aguilar was there. You can ask him. He was there. He wasn't Aguilar. Yeah, he was Adolf the Assassin, but he was there. He was locked in the house with us. They locked us in the house. He started lighting candles and shit. He's like, yeah, hey, check it out. I'm Jesus the mob boss, and we gotta get Tretch. Can't make this shit up, bro. Shout out YT. That's my dude.
Oh my God, man. Hey, yo, I want to completely thank you, bro. This has been a phenomenal conversation, man. And hey, if you ever need a third wheel on the mental health day podcast, I don't know what y'all call it. Is it a podcast or just show?
It's a show cast. It's a monthly. It's called Talking Crazy. We'd love to have you on there.
Yeah,
I do it with my brother Tamal from Carrying the Culture, and he's my co-host. We're co-hosts together. So yeah, we'd love to have you on there, brother.
Hit me up. I've been crazy for a long time, man. I'm working on it.
Man, see, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. Destigmatizing the word crazy. Like, see, when you say I've been crazy, it ain't a negative thing. I know what you mean. You know what I'm saying? So let's
and
talk
no disrespect
about it, my brother.
to anybody out there. I don't want the alphabets or whoever to be pissed off at me.
Get your panties out of a bunch. Get your panties out of a bunch of people out there. We don't mean nothing by it. We destigmatizing the conversation. We trying to help. If you come in with the attitude that we think that we're trying to disrespect motherfuckers, then you got us all wrong. That's for the people out there.
Absolutely. With that man said. On that note, man, have a phenomenal day, man. An even better week and a more prosperous year. Be dope as fuck, bro. Appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
Thank you.
No
Thank you. You
doubt.
too, brother. Peace.
Peace.